Water. It makes up the most simplest forms of life. It's what we looked for in Mars when we wanted to see if life was even there. You can use it in creating pasta for lunch or building a house out of concrete. But what if you were denied access to the water that you were promised? When was the last time you took a drink of water? And when was the last time you took advantage of its crisp, clean flavor? The World Bank reports that 99% of America's population has access to clean drinking water, while 90% of the world's population has access to clean drinking water. But think about that for a moment. That means that there is still a percent of America and the world's population that doesn't have access to clean drinking water. Such was the case in Toledo, Ohio. U.S. News reports that in 2014, the local government said that the main drinking source of water, Lake Erie, was wretched with a green slime, calling for a no drink, no boil ban. Imagine your government tells you that your water for drinking, cleaning, eating is in no condition to be consumed. Wouldn't you do everything in your power to fix that? Such was the case of the Standing Rock Reservation of the Sioux Tribe. They've been putting up a peaceful, non-stop battle against the Dakota Access Pipeline. So I ask you again, what would you do if the water that was promised to you was denied? My name is Chris Collins, and today we're going to find out how far one tribe will go to answer that question. Consider all the data given to you in this presentation in terms of the communication theory content analysis. The Dakota Access Pipeline is a 1,172-mile long underground oil pipeline, starting in the Bracken oil fields in North Dakota, ending in Patoka, Illinois. Costing it a whopping $3.78 billion, the Dakota Access Pipeline, or DAP as we'll call it here, would rake in $100 million for North Dakota each year. But is the reward worth the cost? According to Mark Paul of TruthOut.com, annual emissions associated with the oil pumped through the pipeline will impose a $4.6 billion burden on current and future generations. This coming to mind after President Trump signed an executive order approving the advancement of the DAP. It is reported that once the project is completed, it will transport 570,000 barrels worth of oil a day. But again, according to TruthOut.com, a barrel of Bracken oil is not a barrel of oil, saying that this oil is substantially more dirty than other oils, containing almost a quarter more CO2 per barrel. Use of this oil releases all the CO2 locked away in it, releasing it into the atmosphere when burned, contributing to global warming. The EPA has estimated that the CCC, social cost of carbon, is $36. Applying the oil transferred via the pipeline provides the estimated $4.6 billion in annual burden from the pollution associated with the pipeline. More on the topic of global warming is Dallas Goldtooth.
The world's getting hotter, and the only way, the most direct, effective way to stop global temperature rise is to keep fossil fuels in the ground. That's it. In the worst case scenario of a spill, you have highly pressurized crude oil that could spill out at thousands and thousands of gallons per minute.
As Goldtooth has described, a breach in the pipeline will cause thousands upon thousands of gallons of crude oil to spill into the Missouri River every minute, rendering the river unusable. Many people would believe, however, as President Trump has promised, that the DAP will produce a lot of jobs. This isn't necessarily the case. In its entirety, the DAP will only employ about 40 to 50 permanent employees at a time. And when you consider the 7.5 million unemployed American workers, 40 to 50 jobs is not a lot. But other than its economic downfalls, the DAP has hit a rather large roadblock in the form of the Sioux tribe of the Standing Rock Reserve. This tribe lives on the banks of the Cannonball River and Missouri River, where the DAP will pass through. Anyone who has sat through a high school American history class knows that the Native Americans have gotten the short end of the stick once the Europeans took control of North America. Being allocated to small reservations on what used to be their land, it seems that the deal for Native Americans is getting worse all the time. As of April 2016, a year ago now, the tribe and many national activists have stood up to the DAP. As stated previously, the DAP will dig under the Missouri River, and much like Lake Erie, the Missouri River is the main source of water for the Sioux tribe. Any breach in the hole's integrity of the pipeline will put everyone at risk who get their water from the Missouri River. This isn't just a matter of clean drinking water, however, it's also a matter of disrespect. One of the points where the DAP will dig underground is straight through an ancestral burial ground of the Sioux tribe. To give a point of reference, this would be like digging through an American soldier's cemetery. During their campaign against the DAP, the Sioux tribe has sought legal action. But unfortunately, on March 7, 2017, Judge James Boasberg ruled against the Sioux tribe. Their plea was to say how the river would be rendered spiritually impure, harkening back to the Sioux legend of the black snake that would rise from the river, harming the natives and leaving them with no water supply, due to the fact that the other water supplies in the area were tainted by decades of mining. Chase Iron Eyes, lead counsel for the Dakota People's Law Project, said, "It is simply unacceptable that the government is allowing energy transfer partners to build this pipeline through our sacred lands." The tribes had won a reprieve from the Obama administration in early December, but it was short-lived. As President Trump took office, he signed an executive order on January 20th, smoothing the way for the final permit needed for the DAP. ABC's Philomena has more on the final showdown between the Sioux tribe and the DAP.
This day was inevitable after President Trump signed executive actions last month moving the pipeline plan forward, undoing a previous order from President Obama blocking it. The protesters began gathering here last April, opposing the construction of the 1,200-mile Dakota Access Pipeline that would run from North Dakota to Illinois. They say the pipeline would disturb sacred Native American sites and pollute rivers and water supplies. The pipeline company says it will be safer and cheaper than trucks or trains. Clashes between protesters and police have turned violent in the past. At its peak, the movement drew thousands. Today, we saw many of the few hundred left packing up and moving out.
I don't know what to do. I'm a mother. I'm not trying to get hurt, and I'm not trying to get arrested. And I'm not a criminal.
As previously stated, campers had been forced out of their camp due to natural flooding of the Missouri River. And according to the Toronto Star, the Morton County Sheriff's Office has promised to enforce the U.S. Army's Corps of Engineers' threat of issuing citations with punishments of up to $5,000 and 6 months in jail to demonstrators who resisted their order to vacate the camp by 2 p.m. local time Wednesday. As of now, Energy Transfer Partners would begin pumping oil through a section of the pipeline under the Missouri River by March 13th, about a month ago. Unfortunately, despite the numerous downsides to the DAP, the pollution, and the massive costs associated with it, oil has already started pumping through sections of the Missouri River, their sacred territories, and precious drinking water. What will this mean for the future of U.S. Native American relations? Now that we as a country have shown that we do not simply care enough to provide clean drinking water for our Native American brothers and sisters. Only time will tell if this was a sound decision or a treacherous one for all parties involved.